So let's get into our winners and losers of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Our first loser, I'm afraid to say, was some guy that didn't do too great in qualifying. Yes, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, qualified ninth. He promised us the race pace was there. It kind of wasn't. Maybe not all his fault, though, because at one point his battery was at 1% during the race. And Ted Kravitz came over and reported that they had told him to lift and coast. And lift and coasting was the word of the day if you were a Mercedes driver, because poor George Russell as well. Qualified third, looking good. Excellent move on Leclerc, and then we just pressed the reverse gear, didn't we? I mean, Mercedes were looking like Ferrari 2022 with issues. There was stuff leaking from George Russell's car, and he was having issues overheating. I mean, poor Mercedes. So we didn't really see that true pace of the Mercedes team because things were going wrong. And Bahrain's normally hot. It was quite cold there. So when we go to Saudi Arabia, which we think is going to be a lot hotter, if they're having cooling issues, that could be a massive, massive issue entirely. But yes, poor Mercedes. And last but not least of the losers, this man, he was our star of qualifying. But yeah, I mean, poor Lance Stroll tipped him around. I don't think it was Lance's fault. Nico Hülkenberg just put his nose there, and yeah, and then spun Stroll around and then went from hero to zero, didn't he? But he did have good pace. But Nico Hülkenberg, oh my. Nico Hülkenberg, what were you thinking? Yeah. But our first of the winners, I mean, who else but Max Verstappen? Max Verstappen wins the race, kind of textbook at this point. He's doing exactly what you'd expect him to do. If he wins again like this in Saudi Arabia, I probably wouldn't put him in as the winner. But there were still maybe a few question marks around that Red Bull pace. He got a good start, and then we never really saw him again. I mean, all their sponsors are going to get a bit upset because they're not getting any sponsor time, kind of like the 2023 season of their car. But, yeah, I digress. Having said that, kind of a bit of a surprise. I didn't think I'd be calling Lance Stroll a winner. But he got spun round, went pretty much to the back, had good pace, didn't make really, any mistakes, did a couple of nice passing moves, and ended up getting that point for 10th, finishing behind his teammate, albeit, a few fairly back, but finishing behind his teammate, Fernando Alonso. Really, really, really solid job, I think, there for Stroll. Definitely. And let's not ignore Mr. Zhao Guanyu. Brilliant race. I mean, Zhao, he finished 11th, just out of the points, but he beat drivers that we thought were faster than him. I mean Magnussen, okay, but Ricciardo, Tsunoda, he beat them. Albon, he beat. Ocon, Gasly, he beat. Obviously Bottas and Sargent. It was quite a solid drive from him. Not quite as good, I think, as years past, but a lot of people are thinking, how good is that Sauber? Well, it was good for 11th today. Congratulations, Zhao. You did good, but our star of the race. Yes, our star of the race, Mr. Carlos Sainz. Well done. You're the only one that made it relatively exciting up there. Okay, yeah, Perez got by in the end, but he pressed on. He got past Charles Leclerc, and he said, "No, Ferrari, I'm doing my race pretty much." And yeah, what a race this guy had. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really happy with that. Definitely deserved that third place on the podium. It's such a shame, though, that Red Bull has really good race pace. And on the soft tyres, he ended up kind of like Perez kind of pulled away despite Carlos Sainz being on the hard. But I don't think Carlos Sainz could have done anything more during the race this weekend. He did brilliant. Yeah, out-qualified by Leclerc, but in the race, really, really good. We don't know where Leclerc would have finished without his braking issues. Would have been interesting. But there we go. Carlos Sainz. I mean, he's the man, isn't he? Hello, Zhao. So let's get